Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about how I turn my raised garden bed into a cold frame. And if you don't know what one of those is, it's basically turning your raised garden bed right into a mini greenhouse so you can grow things year round. Before we get into it, I want to mention we're Salty Acres. We're an edible plant business where we ship fruit-bearing plants straight to your door. So pretty much every plant you see in my videos, you too can grow right along with us. And here's one thing you don't know about us. Even though I have a lot of followers, if you buy a plant from us, you do get my phone number. You can talk to me any given time if there's any problems or you just need help growing this stuff. Because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of our channel is to help you grow everything that you want to grow. And sometimes that means just having someone you can talk to about everything. So if you've been following around pretty much half this winter time, we've been building this raised garden bed. And a lot of it's been strategic because you can actually put and fill up this raised garden bed with a lot of the stuff that you've got laying on the ground right now this time of the year. And when you wait this time of the year, it saves you on the cost of filling this thing up and everything else. And on top of that, you really don't have to worry about if something's there at the store or not this time of the year, because 9 times out of 10, nobody's trying to buy this stuff this time of the year. So saying all that, I'm gonna put over here on this side of the screen pretty much my whole short form video of me building this top for the raised garden bed. And in that video, I said it was a frost cover because technically that's what it is. It's meant to protect your plants from the frost this time of the year so you can help your plants grow during the winter time. So the first thing I want you to see is this whole frame right here, this whole big old frame was actually not built first when putting this thing on top of the raised garden bed. I actually did it 1 2x4 at a time, and I started with connecting this 2x4 right here to the raised garden bed, and I put door hinges on it. There's 3 door hinges. You can see 1, 2, and then a third one way over there on the other side. And that right there was meant to make sure you can close this thing up or open this thing up on those hot days. And right now I'm gonna close this thing down so I can explain a lot more to you guys. But I mainly got it closed now to show you that I've actually got this thing tacked down to the back side of the raised garden bed. And you can see right here, it's actually been tacked down on several different places. And it's just so the frost can't get inside of this raised garden bed. So that makes sure the back side is pretty much sealed off and protected from the frost. So then you only have to worry about the other sides here. So the very first thing I did was I put a 2x4 down right here on the very front here and attached my 3 door hinges. That just made it a whole lot easier. And whenever I did that, I then moved it back to the back side of the raised garden bed and attached it to one of these 2x8 boards here. And that way, it's now basically a door. But then you have to go ahead and make all of your other boards attach to that board that you've got attached first. And then after you've got those boards attached, you'll notice that if you tried to pick that raised garden bed door up, it's actually kind of flimsy. So you need to give it a little bit of support. And what I did was, as I took some 2x4s and actually came over here and did these at a 45-degree angle. And once you get those 2 2x4s at a 45-degree angle, this thing doesn't really wobble anymore. It's secure in place. And then all you got to do is really cover it with some plastic. Now you'll see that I did put clear plastic on it because, again, I want it to be like a greenhouse where it lets the light in and also warms up that soil so those plants can be just fine during the winter time. Most of that clear plastic is actually about 3 feet wide, so you do need to overlap it. And it's so important that you have these 45-degree angle 2x4s on the top because it helps support the plastic where it doesn't really dip down a whole lot, and it does seal off the top layer of the plastic. That way there's no gap for air to get in or frost to get in and ruin those plants. So basically, now that you've got your plastic on top of it, you need to start stapling it down. And go ahead and be trigger happy with your staple gun because you will need to go ahead and make sure you get all these holes sealed off, especially to make sure that your plants don't get hit by any frost, because that's the whole point of all of this, to get everything sealed up so none of that cold air can get to those plants. Go ahead and staple it on those 45-degree angle 2x4s, and even on the sides here and on the tops. You want to pretty much go crazy with this thing to make sure it's sealed completely off. So now that you've got pretty much everything built and it does work just like an actual door, you do need to find a way to prop this thing up whenever you go to use it, because you're going to need to keep it open sometimes, and sometimes you're going to need to keep it closed. So what we've got is a metal pole we've had laying around in our backyard for a long time. And we basically use this thing by sticking this thing directly into the dirt at an angle and leaning it up against the side of that door frame. And right now here in North Carolina, it's basically 70 degrees. So I need to keep this thing open now anyways. And so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do exactly like I told you. I'm gonna actually put this thing into the dirt and push it to where it's basically keeping that door wide open. And also listen, if you do decide to do this, you definitely want to open it up on those days you're going to get some rain, because how else is it going to get watered? And right now we're expecting some rain here later on this evening. And this warmer weather along with that rain is actually going to help our strawberry plants that we planted in a video just for you guys a few days ago. And the whole purpose of this frost cover with our strawberry plants is to basically make sure our plants are covered whenever they get flowers, because whenever they get flowers, they're expecting to give you berries, and you got to be able to protect those in case they have cold temperatures. They will not make it if they've been hit by frost. So you want to have them covered just like I've done with this whole frost cover. Now, one other important thing that you need to remember when you're actually building your cold frame or your frost cover, there's no point in actually building it unless you have the dirt pretty much all the way up to seal in these cracks right here, because otherwise you still can get that cold air to go in there and hit your plants. So you want to make sure that you've got your dirt filled all the way up, at least almost to the top, but you don't want it all the way up to the top because that defeats the whole purpose of everything. You need this thing kind of down so those plants can grow inside of this raised garden bed, not over it. It's not your typical raised garden bed. Again, it's called a cold frame. Yes, you heard me call it a frost cover, but it's also called, again, a cold frame. I don't care what you call it. It's just another way to help you protect your own food when you decide to grow things right in your backyard.